Hi, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to deep dive into my code that I developed for the navigation test case. I won't go over every single line of code, but just enough so you have a feel for my style of automation code. In a later video, I will go more into the framework code. If you have not watched the test case execution demo video, please look in the description below for the link to that video. Before I start explaining my code, let me tell you that where you see bug, it has nothing to do with a defect. I named part of my testing environment based on a comic book called The Micronauts. Bug is one of the characters in the story. I chose these names a long time ago before deciding to make these videos, so I won't say bug when I read out the code. Here's the navigation test case again. All of the methods called directly in this test case are defined in the page object underscore TQA underscore left nav class. This is the line of code that navigates to the Tools QA webpage. In the page object underscore TQA underscore left nav class, it is defined here. Back to the test case, the next line navigates to the text box page, and the next line to the checkbox page. Each line in this block of code uses a unique method for navigating to each window. Let's go back to the class to see how they are defined. Here is the method for the checkbox, and above and below it you can see the methods for navigating to other pages. Inside each method, we pass the text of the page to go to into the navigate to method. This method could instead be called in our test case, and it actually is. Let's go back to the test case. Here you see the same navigate to method being used over and over again, but each time a different page name is used as an input argument. Not the same method, but the same style of passing arguments into a method is what I would normally use directly in a test case where the main test objective is to verify the text of a page title, or that specific menu items are required in order to navigate to a page. You would only need to verify once that a specific set of menu items will navigate to a specific page title in just one test case, but you would undoubtedly need to navigate to the same page numerous times, possibly even hundreds or thousands of times across many test cases in order to thoroughly test a page in the AUT. For those times, you don't need to actually verify each of the thousands of times. Otherwise, each of those thousands of test cases would result in failed test cases before it could even get to the page that it's supposed to test. Instead, I will use the style of coding where a unique method is called for each page. Because maintenance would only be required once, that is in the definition of the method in the class file, not the hundreds of times in each test case where it's called. If the correct menu item does not exist, it doesn't matter how the test case navigates to the page. We just update the steps in the method, just as long as it can get to it so that the real objective of the test case is verified. There should only be one test case for testing the correct menu items per page. You don't want thousands of test cases to fail for navigating to a page when that is not what is really being tested over and over again. I really did not want to speak much about best practices and instead wanted to show you my coding style. But I wonder if there will be some times when someone looks at my code and may have questions about best practices and why I code it in a certain way. So in that case, please see my email address in the description below this video, and I will be happy to reply back with answers. I will continue now by going further into the navigate to method. At the top of the file, you can see navigate to method being called in the method for navigating to the web table page. Here is the navigate to method's definition. It has a switch case statement where each case is for a different page to navigate to. This case is for the checkbox page. And in this case, we pass in the text of the main and submenu items into a new method named left navigation. This method will click on the two menu items. But what if later a developer adds a page and there is no case for that page? There is a default clause that will inform the automation engineer to add a case statement for that page. But if all goes well in the case statement, the method will run this code that synchronizes for the page to display and then immediately verify the page title is correct. So that is how the test case runs. But I want to go a little bit deeper into the code. Going back to the left navigate method in the case statement, I will show you how the method is defined. Here it is. This method clicks on the main and submenu items. Remember how I explained that you cannot simply code to always click on the main menu item before clicking the submenu item? Because clicking it could collapse the menu list so that the submenu items are not visible and therefore not clickable. If not visible, the code to click the submenu items would then crash. To fix this, I created code to determine which of the two states is true. The menu list is collapsed or shown. I was able to look at the XPath for each state and saw a change for each state. So I made two variables to hold the XPath of each state. In the XPath, I concatenate a string holding the text of the main menu item. By concatenating instead of hard-coding, I do not have to create two sets of variables for each main menu item. Reducing code has numerous advantages, such as making maintenance easier. And here's the part of the XPath that changes for all the main menu items for each state. Those two variables are then passed into an exist method that I created here. The first line of code to determine which state existed, and then returns and sets a variable to the one found. Note that the second line here is just for log information. It won't be in the HTML test step results. It's just for my purpose of debugging and troubleshooting and testing. Based on if the menu list was shown or collapsed, this next and last section of code will either click or not click on the main menu item, and then report any issues if it cannot complete the navigation. This code scrolls menu items back into view. If your code needs to do an action to an element that is not in view, it will likely crash. A maximized browser could also bring elements into view. This is a very good example for one of the many reasons to make sure Selenium opens a browser to max size before the first step is executed. This ends the navigation test case videos. If you have any questions, please send them to my email address, which is located in the description below, and I will make sure to answer them. Make sure to also look in the description for the link to my next video covering my project. Thank you.